American people. He, instead of trying to bring us together, has tried to get governors and has backed inciting violence, has talked about sicking dogs on protesters. We are at a point in this country where we need a leader who is going to be able to provide the empathy, provide the type of unity that this president doesn't seem to lack those genes. For example, when I stopped to watch that historic space launch this past weekend, it reminded me of when Ronald Reagan did that for all of us after the Challenger explosion. Where is this president's heart for what these protesters are demanding? Where is his vision for how we can get past this moment? He has not shared that. Instead, he has tried to divide us. He has gone after some of our greatest military leaders with language, like we just heard Deneen use against General Mattis, that is a little bit despicable.
And Deneen, the whole thing, if you're the White House, maybe the scathing comments are concerning, but this is definitely concerning. When you look at the PBS NPR Marist poll, and it shows that his support among evangelicals is dropping. You look at this now in March, 77% of evangelicals, and today you have 62% of evangelicals supporting the president. That has got to be a little bit singeing for the administration. Your thoughts?
Look, there's still time for us to get to the presidential election race, and I got to tell you, the accomplishments we've seen under President Trump before the COVID-19 virus hit and we had the lockdown, before these outrages of violence and lawlessness hitting our streets, we had a booming economy. So when you look at the results we saw prior to all of the destruction and the shutdowns and people wanting to go back to work so that they can support their families, we will see a turnaround, I believe, with our country because we've seen it initially firsthand under President Trump. Rollback in taxes, lower regulations, there were more jobs and people to fill them. And so the president is looking out for all Americans, not a certain party and not just a certain racial affiliation, all Americans.
I have a little breaking news. We apologize for the short segment. Jamil Green, Deneen Borelli, thank you both. We appreciate it. Well, Joe Biden taking heat for a comment he made about a big chunk of Americans. Here's what he said.
Do we really think this is as good as we can be as a nation? I don't think the vast majority of people think that. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of people out there who are just not very good people. But that's not who we are. The vast majority of people are decent. We have to appeal to that. We have to unite people, bring them together.
With us now, former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer. He's also a Fox News contributor. Ari, you listen to this comments again, and by Joe Biden's math, I mean, that's 40 million people roaming the country who are bad people. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I wish I could take that back. Your thoughts?
How can he talk about uniting the country when he's the one thereby dividing it? I mean, that is one of the worst, most divisive statements you could ever make, Trace, and to dig into it, just assume for this argument's sake that he's exempting Democrats from being very bad people. What he's basically saying is every single Republican is very bad. Just do the quick math, and that's about the same numbers. You know, this is the same Joe Biden, Trace, who, when Mitt Romney ran for president, said that Mitt Romney and the Republicans want to put you all back in chains, return to slavery. Has there ever been a worse, more provocative, polarizing statement? Even none by Donald Trump, compared to that statement by Joe Biden. Joe Biden is inherently divisive. He's just congenial as he comes across. He is divisive and polarizing to all extents.
Will it be more memorable, Ari? I was going to play these sound bites, but we don't have much time. But is it more memorable than Mitt Romney's binders full of women or Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables? In that league, worse, not as bad?
Well, it's a direct descendant of the basket of deplorables, isn't it? But the difference is, I don't think Joe Biden's going to get held to account by much of the media. There have been stories about it. The New York Times, the Washington Post published stories about it. But do you think CNN, MSNBC, or the networks are going to play that today, tonight? I doubt it. So with Joe Biden, it's just touch and go. They won't wrap these controversies around him because they know if they do, it will benefit Republicans and Donald Trump. And that's a reflection on the media that Joe Biden gets to play into.
It's interesting. I just did some research, and just for the record, he says 10 to 15% of Americans are not very good people. 2.5% of the population are actually in prison or have been in prison, and a lot of those are non-violent crimes. Ari Fleischer, it's always good insight. Good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Trace.
Well, breaking news on the retired police captain gunned down at a pawn shop. Remember, he was guarding it for a friend of his when a looter came in and opened fire. Next.
Here's record-breaking news for veterans. VA mortgage rates have dropped to near 50-year lows. New Day USA can help you refinance your mortgage and save thousands a year. New Day's VA Streamline Refi makes it fast and easy because there's no income verification, no appraisal, and no out-of-pocket costs. I urge you to call New Day USA now.
One call can save you $2,000. Call 1-888-721-0076.
Dad, you just gotta think bigger. Hey guys! Yeah! Great news! The Ark is reopening June 8th. See you there!
Love. It's what we've always said makes Subaru, Subaru. And right now, love is more important than ever. In response to COVID-19, Subaru and our retailers are donating 50 million meals to Feeding America to help feed those who now need our help. It's all part of our commitment to our communities through Subaru Loves to Help. Love. It's what makes Subaru, Subaru.
Now Simparica Trio simplifies protection. Ticks it, please. See ya.
Heartworm disease? No way.
Simparica Trio is the first chewable that delivers all this protection. And Simparica Trio is demonstrated safe for puppies. It's simple. Go with Simparica Trio. This drug class has been associated with neurologic adverse reactions, including seizures. Use with caution in dogs with a history of these disorders. Protect him with all your heart. Simparica Trio.
Race relations in America.
You see what's happening to our country? What do you make of this?
Two experts share their thoughts on the current state of our nation. Sunday on Life, Liberty, and Levin.
When America needed us to build, we built. And now we're open and ready to serve you with special offers across the Ford lineup. Get an F-150 with 0% financing for 72 months or lease for just $257 a month.
In times of crisis, we pull together. So NJEA and legislators are working on a healthcare reform bill that will save hundreds of millions of dollars a year. As soon as the Assembly acts, Governor Murphy can make it law. School districts and property taxpayers will save hundreds of millions. The state budget will get a boost, and educators' families will get needed relief. In a crisis, action matters. It's time for the Assembly to act, to get New Jersey back on its feet.
America is responding to COVID-19, and manufacturers are leading the way, creating medicines and essential products and moving our economy into recovery. But with the right policies, we can make even more without closing off critical global supply chains, like smart regulatory and tax reforms that provide jobs and investments in our communities. Make sure manufacturers have the tools we need to make it here and win this fight. And the next one, paid for by the National Association of Manufacturers.
Were you a victim as a child of sexual abuse involving the Catholic clergy, other religious organizations, the Boy Scouts, or another community group? Now is the time to hold these abusers accountable. How? You call Morelli Law, the New York law firm with over $1 billion secured for its clients. If you or your children were a victim of childhood sexual abuse involving the Catholic clergy, other religious organizations, the Boy Scouts, or another community group, even if the abuse happened decades ago, call now.
When America needed us to build, we built. And now we're open and ready to serve you with special offers across the Ford lineup. Get an Escape with 0% financing for 72 months or lease for just $229 a month.
Bill Hemmer awaiting the president of the state of Maine in a moment here. Also, as the state of some major American cities are talking about defunding the police. Rudy Giuliani, the mayor of New York for 8 years. Stephanie Rawlings Blake, the mayor in Baltimore during days of riots. We'll talk to both about that. Stunner of a number on the jobs. Moore and Goolsby are set to go. So too are Chris Wallace and Ted Williams. See in a few minutes on a Friday edition of Bill Hemmer Reports. Top of the hour. Fox News alert now. Police in St. Louis releasing a video of persons of interest in the murder of a retired police captain. They say looters shot and killed David Dorn early Tuesday morning while he was trying to protect a friend. People inside what appears to be that shop. Police are asking anybody with information to come forward. David Dorn served with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department for 38 years. He was the father of 5, the grandfather of 10, and he mentored numerous young people trying to get into law enforcement. An update now on the case of Ahmaud Arbery, the unarmed black man shot while jogging in Brunswick, Georgia back in February. Prosecutors yesterday presented their evidence against the 3 men charged with murdering him. And here's the lead investigator.
Alleged Arbery being pursued, and he ran till he couldn't run anymore, and it turned him back to a man with a shotgun, or fight with his bare hand against the man with a shotgun, and he chose to fight.
That investigator also testified the man accused of shooting Arbery was heard uttering a racial slur as he stood over Arbery's body. The judge later ruled there was probable cause to support murder charges against the 3 men. With us now, the Georgia Attorney General, Chris Carr. Mr. Attorney General, thank you for joining us, sir. The attorneys for Travis and Gregory McMichael are arguing self-defense. You just heard the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's the lead investigator there. What are your thoughts on that defense of these 2 men?
Well, let me say I'm so proud of the District Attorney Joyette Holmes and her team and the special agent from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation for the case that they put up yesterday. And it's crystal clear what the District Attorney's Office said. He was chased, he was hunted, and he was executed. And that's what happened. So I'm very pleased with what happened yesterday. I'm pleased that the 3 will remain in custody. And this is a next step down the path to justice for Ahmaud Arbery and his family.
The defense attorney came out saying, look, the McMichaels did what any American would do. They picked up the phone and they called 911 because they thought that there was bad behavior going on. What do you say?
The district attorney's office said no. What every American would have done would have been called 911 and wait for the police to show up. What needs to be done here is exactly what's been done. And I'm very pleased to see, again, the case that was put on by the district attorney's office. I'm pleased with the investigation that our GBI is engaged in. And at the end of the day, the 3 individuals need to be held accountable for the family, for the community of Brunswick, for the county, for Glenn County, Georgia, and for our state.
Yeah, the investigation saying that Travis McMichael used a racial slur over the body of Ahmaud Arbery. How does that play into this? Not necessarily the prosecution, sir, but how does it play into the long-term, the trial being held in that county? What's the fallout of that reporting?
Well, it was shocking to all of us. And it's also an important reason why and I'm pleased to see that the U.S. Attorney, or the FBI had been working with the GBI. It's why we have asked the U.S. Attorney's Office to come in and investigate the role in the communication that the district attorneys have played, because it was shocking and it was repulsive to hear, and it's an important part and an important fact for all of us to know going forward.
Yeah, and lastly, Attorney General, I want to take a 30,000-foot level kind of view on this. Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, these cases across the country. You are now working avidly trying to get police involved in community, get them more integrated. What are you doing? What steps finally are you taking, sir, to do that?
So there's a great police chief in LaGrange, Georgia, by the name of Lou Detmar, and he was the president of the Association of Chiefs of Police. He's got an initiative that acknowledges injustices that have occurred to minority communities as it relates to police departments. And we kicked off the program last May, and we had about 10 different police departments in the state of Georgia that were a part of this. And it's a way that we need to talk with one another. We need to listen. We need to learn how to come up with constructive solutions by speaking with one another and move forward.
And so the Community Trust Initiative is a great way to do it, and it's a way that, quite frankly, could be replicated around the country if done appropriately.
We hope it works. Attorney General Chris Carr, thank you for joining us, sir.
Trace, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, businesses already struggling to stay alive amid coronavirus shutdowns now rocked by yet another crisis. Plus, meet the teenager getting cred for helping keep the peace while protesting. Next.
Just over a year ago, I was drowning in credit card debt.
SoFi helped me pay off $23,000 of credit card debt.
It helped me consolidate all of that into one low monthly